Seattle Seahawks training camp got underway yesterday. What's up, everybody? Good morning. We are back here on this Thursday morning, and it is the first morning after the first Seattle Seahawks training camp session for the 2024 season. Our first training camp with new head coach Mike Macdonald. And there is some stuff that we learned, not necessarily in terms of stuff that we saw on the field. There were definitely some clips and pictures circulating the internet yesterday. And for the most part, it was just like, oh, cool, look at this guy doing this drill. Look at Tyrese Knight doing this linebacker drill. Here's Jake Bobo making this nice catch. Here's DK Metcalf making a nice catch. There's some cool stuff out there. But that stuff is just kind of entertainment. It's enjoyable. I want to focus in on some of the things that we learned yesterday. And we did learn a pretty decent amount. Obviously, there was some roster stuff. There was some contract stuff. We extended Julian Love. But there was also some stuff that we learned from the coaches and stuff we learned from just looking at who was available and who wasn't when practice started. So we're going to get into that now. Before I start taking a look at all this information, however, please like this video if you haven't already. Helps the channel out a lot. Subscribe if you're new and you want daily Seahawks content. We're going to basically be making videos every day until there's nothing to talk, until we don't have stuff to talk about on that particular day, which that could be many, many months away. Click the bell if you want notifications. Consider becoming a channel member for $2 a month. Helps out as well. And yeah, those are the best ways to help support the channel. All right. So, the training camp yesterday, unfortunately, the most significant thing that we learned from yesterday's session came in the form of some pretty bad news, or at the very least, discouraging news. Abe Lucas, we know he's out. I think we all expected him to be out. But the timetable that the team is currently giving us is very hazy. And it seems to me that things are not going that well for Abe. So Brady Henderson here has a tweet with Macdonald talking about Abe Lucas. Mike Macdonald acknowledges it's taken longer than expected. And he is running at full speed, but he's only able to wear, standard clothing. He's not in uniform yet. He's not wearing pads yet. And according to what Mike Macdonald is saying here, there's a real possibility that Abe Lucas isn't ready for week 1, which would be devastating and also fly in the face of what we've heard so far. So there's no other way to put it. We are starting on a little bit of a dour note here. There's been a lot of good Seahawks news lately. I like a lot of the stuff they're doing. I'm cool with a lot of the stuff that's going on. We've gotten some good news. But this just sucks because Abe Lucas was a really awesome player in 2022, and he was greatly missed in 2023. And if he's not able to put together a full, or at least mostly full season in 2024, it might be pretty much over. And with the way this knee thing is going, it seems like we learn something different every week. One week things are going really good, and then the next week, oh, it's chronic, it's never going away, and then the next week it's not chronic. So this is definitely a setback. And I mean, Macdonald is even honest about the fact that we thought he was going to be further along in his recuperation than he is. So not excited about that. Good news is we do have George Fant. Bad news is I don't know what George Fant is at this point. He's better than what we had last year. He's better than Jake Curhan and Jason Peters off the couch. But I wanted to see Abe Lucas this year, and right now, stock is down a little bit on Abe Lucas being ready to go week 1. And if he's not ready to go week 1, then who knows? Who knows how long it's going to be before he's ready? And when he's ready, who knows how long it's going to be before he's ready to play good? Because there is a difference. All right, so that's the Abe Lucas stuff. That was the main thing that we learned yesterday. And, I mean, again, I'm not going to slice that any other way than bad. We did get some other injury updates, however. Most notably, Cam Young. He will come off the PUP in about a week. So Cameron Young is not going to be too far behind. He's okay. He's fine. We're good. Great news here from Brady Henderson. Cameron Young should be back in a week. I know it's not that big a deal because he's not going to be a huge part of this defense, but I wouldn't be shocked if he ends up having a bigger role than people expect. Jaron Reed, we might view him as undersized. Jonathan Hankins has been in the league for quite some time now, very limited player, very one-dimensional. If Cam Young ends up playing a more significant role at nose tackle in this defense, I won't be shocked. So if he's off the PUP in a week, that means he'll get back before basically right at the start of August. So should be pretty good. Jarek Reed is going to be longer. Did not offer a timetable for Jarek Reed coming off that ACL tear. I've said it before. I don't really expect Jarek Reed to be back until later in the season, and that's just what happens when you tear an ACL most of the time. Connor Williams seems to have come back very strongly from his ACL tear to where he's already able to pass a physical, but that doesn't happen for most people. So Jarek Reed, I'm not really expecting him to be ready to suit up week 1, maybe not even week 5. Maybe we get around like week 9, week 10. I think it's a little more realistic. And again, he's a special teamer, so I'm not going to act like his absence is some earth-shattering deal. But those are the main other injury updates we got. In terms of stuff that happened on the field that stood out, the things that happened on the field at the VMAC, I think the number one thing that seemed to be on the front of people's minds was Geno Smith. Geno Smith looked really good, hitting big plays to DK Metcalf, Jake Bobo. I think Cody Thompson got in the mix as well. The general consensus was that Geno Smith played great. So normally, I might not find that to be all that notable. I mean, he's our starting quarterback. You would expect him to look good in training camp. But one of the things that people said pretty emphatically coming out of this first training camp session is that Geno Smith is well ahead of Sam Howell. And I know some people don't want to hear that. I know some people don't like that, but it seems to very clearly be the fact of the matter. And it seems to very clearly be indicative of what we're going to end up having when the season starts. So if you're looking for something to really be excited about, it would definitely be Geno Smith. I saw him hit a nice play to JSN, saw some of the stuff with Bobo. It looks good. I mean, it doesn't look anything radically different from previous couple years, but he looks ready to go. And he's been working very hard this offseason, harder than he had to, harder than a lot of people would have. So we're seeing that stuff start to pay dividends. So great news there. We also got McDonald talking a little bit more about the Connor Williams stuff. And he didn't say too much insightful in terms of like whether or not this will get done. It's technically not even really his job, right? He's the coach. It's John Schneider's job to sign players more than anything. But he did say he thinks that Connor Williams would play center. So admittedly, that is where he's played the last 2 years for the Dolphins. He's been a center for Miami 2 straight years. So I get that. I'm personally much higher on Oluwatimi than I am Laken Tomlinson. So I wanted to bump Laken Tomlinson out of the starting lineup. Now, that being said, I am aware of the fact that the Seahawks seem to believe that Laken Tomlinson is going to be very good. I wish I could share their enthusiasm and optimism. But either way, he makes the team better. I'm cool with it either way because I'm sure Connor Williams is better than Oluwatimi in his first year starting in the NFL. And I'm sure he's better than Laken Tomlinson at this point in his career. But I question that a little bit. But yeah, he didn't say too much about whether or not he thought it would happen. He just said it was a great visit. So, hey, that's good news. I like that. We also got this about McClendon Curtis, who was practicing with the first team at right guard in the spring, is now working at right tackle because of the Abe Lucas situation. That's basically an indication that there's not a lot of optimism around Abe Lucas getting back anytime soon. So that's not good, but we already knew that. The upshot here is that McClendon Curtis moving to right tackle behind George Fant means that it should be clearing the way for somebody else to be playing at right guard. And I haven't seen or heard anything about it being Christian Haynes or Anthony Bradford. I would assume that it's Christian Haynes, but I'll wait for confirmation there. Either way, that's better. Like, no disrespect to McClendon Curtis, he's in the NFL, he's grinding out there, but the raw talent of Anthony Bradford and the strong fundamentals of Christian Haynes are just far more appealing and far more intriguing than anything McClendon Curtis brings to the table. I'm sorry, but it is what it is. So I'm intrigued to see who gets first team right guard snaps at first and if there's a rotation or anything like that. And one last thing that stood out, more of a kind of humorous factoid than anything else. D. Williams, who is a receiver, has been working with the cornerbacks, and he has a defensive jersey on. Now, making the Seahawks defensively at the cornerback position is probably not any easier than making them at receiver, but I guess they just want to see if he can be a two-way player. Maybe that's how D. Williams gets on the team. He proves he can play both ways. Again, like we just drafted 2 rookie corners. You've got Mike Jackson, you've got Trey Brown. Of course, you got Witherspoon, you've got Woolen. I don't know if D. Williams is going to exactly make the 53-man roster based on his work as a cornerback, but this did kind of stand out to me, and I'm wondering what it could mean. Could it just be a situation where they didn't want to rush Pritchett and James into things too quickly because they just got off the injury list? I don't know. We'll see where it goes, but that's the basic roundup of training camp. Seems like things went well. I didn't hear anything about anybody getting hurt in training camp. I guess that people who were in attendance at the training camp weren't allowed to have their phones out, so that's new. That's something that wasn't the case under Carroll, so take that whatever way you want to take it. And yeah, that's what we got so far. So hoping for some more things to happen later today, but not too bad of a start. And I'm liking some of the things that I hear. Not really liking some of the other stuff, but there's always going to be some bad stuff going on when you're talking about a football team. See you guys later. Go Hawks.